There's a massive industry around, of all things, breathing. There are breath coaches, breath teachers, breathing techniques, conscious breathing. I mean, the list is huge. I have some thoughts about that I'll share with you, but I want to start by letting you know what we're going to do today, which is I want to offer you the one breathing technique that you need and show you how to get there. This breath control trend has its roots in good intentions. It's very useful when one is feeling anxious and has no other means to calm down, to focus on one's breath. If I'm feeling panicked and someone has taught me how to do some conscious breathing in whatever form they've taught me that, it can be a very useful way to go from a 10 to about a 3 on the anxiety scale, if not lower. And so it's immediately obvious why this trend and breathing techniques is what it is. We seem to live in a world of increasing anxiety. I don't know if that's a fact. I'm saying that's how it seems. It seems like a lot of us are anxious, stressed out, worried. And so it's not a surprise that people are using breathing as a means, outside of like medicine, to calm down. It's more immediate. It's doesn't introduce chemicals into the body. We don't have to worry about if we're doing something wrong. We simply apply a technique. It is very useful. As someone who was trained as an actor a long time ago and had many voice coaches, I've spent a lot of time focusing on my breath, focusing on breath control, diaphragm control, projection. One of the stumbling blocks that I ran into in early days of meditation was the normal starting point for meditation is to begin with focusing on the breath. Now, in mindfulness or insight meditation, that focusing on the breath is not a controlling of the breath. It is an observation of the breath as it is. The problem for me was, as soon as I start focusing on my breath, I start controlling the movement of my diaphragm and controlling my breathing. And every effort for me to stop controlling my breath seems to only reinforce my neuromuscular training to control it. I really struggled with this in the beginning of my meditation. I have come to learn how to focus on my breathing without controlling it. And so I would like to share that with you today. And what I propose to you is that this technique of breathing, of simply observing the breath in its natural state, is really the only type of breathing technique one needs past a certain point, right? Both of these techniques, and it's not both, it's many, the techniques where I am objectively trying to control my breathing and the one where I'm simply observing my breathing as it is, these are different tools for different situations. And so when I say only, I don't mean stop using breathing techniques that you've learned that are helping you to calm down. I mean, when you're past that point, when you have passed that point of anxiety and been able to calm down, then the usefulness of simply observing the breath as it is really hard to capture without simply experiencing it. Many discoveries follow as I'm able to simply observe the breath as it arises. And I won't complicate this conversation with those discoveries. I'll leave those for you to discover, but simply to understand that there is something else to be known beyond the strident controlling of our breath to calm down. There is a lot more to be known. And while it's all quite simple in concept, it's not easy to get there. The stumbling block being what I just mentioned, that whether you're a trained singer or actor, or you've learned how to speak in public, a lot of us have notions of how we should be breathing. And the moment we focus on our breathing, we find ourselves trying to control it. And that's not helpful when one is trying to meditate. Not in the disciplines of meditation that I practice, which I think are quite consistent across people's notion of what meditation is, or once they're involved with it. I don't really know what most people think about meditation when they're not actually involved with it. So I'm going to describe the technique to you so that if you're someone who is trying to figure out, how do I observe my breathing without controlling it, this is something that you might try. This is what works for me. When I start with a breath focus in a meditation, that's typically where I start. The first thing I'll notice with my breathing is that I am trying to marshal control over it. That's already been stated. The next thing that I do is, on one of my exhales, I simply take a pause. It's not a contracted pause. It's not a gripping down or white knuckling pause. I'm not trying to apply control in a very strident way, because that would only be another means of me trying to control my breathing. I simply resist the urge to inhale for a brief pause. And I couldn't tell you how long that pause is. It seems like it's quite brief. It could be elongated. What I'm trying to do is allow the body's natural instinct to inhale to arise without me driving it. If I simply pause, I'll notice something like a tickle, where it feels normal and natural to simply inhale. And the more I've done this, the more I found it easy to simply then allow the body to take over breathing. But at first it was challenging. At first I would have to repeat this exercise repeatedly until I could then simply allow the body to breathe. What you may notice is that the way the body breathes is not at all what you might have expected when allowed to simply breathe without you as the captain of the breathing ship. But that is all yet to be discovered. My point here is simply to teach you how to, one method, how to break through that feeling of being the breather, the one who needs to be in control of the breath in order to observe it. And for a moment to simply be in the state of observation. I hope it helps.